Hi there and welcome to day 3. Now in today's session we're going to put together everything that we learned in day 1 and day 2. So again, starting down on the floor, we're going to come into our tabletop position, otherwise known as 4-point kneeling, by the way. And we're just going to do a little bit of movement through the spine, just like we did on day 1. So again, I'm going to do a separate video to talk a bit about the Pilates breath. But just practicing the Pilates breath with this first movement, the cat-cow, which is probably the easiest one. So starting with the breath in through the nose, and then as you breathe out, we squeeze the tailbone under, chin into the chest, and then as we breathe in, we relax the spine and we just look slightly forwards. And again, we breathe out, squeezing the chin into the chest, lifting the spine. And again, we breathe in as we come back into our cow stretch. So just moving between these two movements, warming up through the spine. Good, well done. Now we're going to hold our tabletop. Now remember that rib to pelvis connection we talked about here, so that we are not completely relaxed through the core, that we've got a little tuck of the tailbone underneath and a slight contraction through the core. This is going to give us a bit more stability through the trunk of the body. And then we're going to start with our first exercise. So this was our swimming, moving opposite arm to opposite leg. And again, we started right at the very level one, right at the beginning, just sliding the arm and leg away, keeping the fingers and the toes in contact with the floor, and then having that option to lift and bring the wrist up and ankle up, and then come back to the start position. So choose your level here. If you find you're really wobbly, then you only need to lift maybe just the arm or the leg. You don't need to do both. And again, a really nice slow movement pattern, lots of control. Keeping the eyes looking down, slightly forward so you're long through the neck. And then just moving from side to side, opposite arm, opposite leg. Good, well done. Now we're going to take one more to each side. Good, well done. And then from here, we're just going to sit back into our child's pose, or otherwise known as shell rest position. Now you can either rest here with the arms forwards, or you can bring the forearms down onto the mat. Now just a point to note with this rest position. Some people find that when they bring their tailbone down towards their heels, that it makes them feel like they're going to get cramp in the feet. If this is you, to avoid that, instead of bringing the tailbone all the way down, tuck the toes underneath and just sort of sit the hips back slightly. And just having this toe tucked under position here tends to mitigate that risk of the good old cramp, because once cramp starts, we know it's really difficult to get rid of. Now from here, we're going to come down and we're going to, because we're facing this position here, we're going to come into our back extension. So bringing ourselves all the way down onto the floor, sliding the arms out so the elbows are in line with the shoulders, bringing the big toes in and letting the heels drop out to the side. So again, the eyes are looking down. All of the movement here is coming from the lower back. So we take a big breath in, and as we breathe out, we lift the chest away from the floor, and then we breathe in as we relax the chest back into the mat. Again, breathing out as we extend through the spine, breathing in as we lower down. Now remember what I said about this yesterday. We want to keep the eyes looking down. It's not that it's wrong to lift the chin. It's just that sometimes it can give us a false sense that we're back extending. So we're not actually lifting the chest, we're just lifting the chin. So by keeping the eyes down, you know that the movement is coming from the back and we're lifting the chest away to create that resistance for the lower back. Now remember, with this one, we can add that little extra level here by floating the forearms off the floor. This takes it up somewhat. Good, well done. Let's just take 2 more. Good, well done. And then just bring yourself back up into your tabletop position. And as I said yesterday, a really nice release stretch for this is a cat stretch. So bringing the chin into the chest, tucking in nice and tight, and then release, a bit like an angry cat. And again, we tuck that chin in, and we release. Good, now let's switch position. We're gonna come over onto our back, and we're gonna move into our shoulder bridge. Now, just a reminder here that if you have anything under your head, like a cushion here, for shoulder bridge, we always prefer to take it out, just so that we're not putting too much pressure on the neck. So our start position always, heels nice and close to the bottom, and your feet about fist width apart, hands down by your side. And again, we start the bridge here with the pelvis. So we squeeze the tailbone underneath. And then once we've got that tilted position through the pelvis, we push through the feet, squeeze into your bum cheeks here. So you're really pulling your hips up and away. And then start to press down evenly across your feet, including the big toes, rolling all the way up until we reach the shoulders. And then we take a breath in, and as we breathe out, we roll back down. Now remember, everybody's pace is going to be slightly different, so don't worry if your rhythm is not matching mine. You move with the rhythm of your breath. But the important things to note here is as we roll up, we're really trying to make it a journey for each vertebra at a time. So we're really massaging the spine as we roll up and down. Trying to keep the hips level, the pelvis level as we roll up and down. So your hands here on the floor are going to offer you a little bit of stability there. Trying to pressurize the whole of the footbed, so not just the outside of the feet. Try and keep the knees tracking in line with the hips. Good, well done. Let's take one more. Just enjoy that journey up and down. Remember, we're only coming up onto the shoulders, we're not coming up onto the neck. And then as we return the hips and the tailbone back down, we take the knees up again, just for a little bit of a stretch here, hugging the knees, a little rock from side to side. Good, well done. Now we're gonna bring the feet back down onto the mat, and we're gonna go into our toe tap, so our core exercise. So arms a little bit wider on the mat. We bring the right leg up into tabletop, followed by the left. And here we squeeze the ribs and pelvis, just like we did for that previous exercise. Now remember, we're maintaining this 90-degree angle in the knee. We're keeping that rib to pelvis connection, and then we're just hinging forwards with one leg to tap the foot to the floor, coming all the way back up, and again, over to the other side. Again, we don't need to bring the foot all the way down here. If you can really feel it arching through that lower back, might even be a little bit uncomfortable, then just hinge forwards. The other option here, I'm going to show you what we call a regression. If you have any lower back issues and this toe tapping is just too much, have the feet on the floor and go from here. So we do one knee fold at a time. Yeah. So this is another option. If that tabletop option, even just hinging forward slightly, is just too much, come back here, feet on the floor, bringing those legs up into tabletop. So you've got 3 levels here to work with. That's the important thing about your Pilates journey, is that you work at the right level for you. You're at home, nobody's watching you, you don't have to compete with anybody else, and you certainly shouldn't be competing with yourself. So make sure that you're working at the right level for you. You want it to be comfortable, challenging, but certainly not painful. Good, now finish off the round that you're on, and again, take a little hug of the knees into the chest. I think that's a really underestimated exercise, that it really gets the core. So I hope you found that challenging. Now, so far in our repertoire of exercises, we've only really moved the body through one forward plane of motion. So we're going to put another exercise in at this point. Really nice exercise for the lower back, the hips and the spine. So you're going to slide your arms nice and wide, palms to the floor. Your feet are going to be in the same position as they were for your bridge, maybe even a little bit wider actually, might make it a bit more comfortable. Now, all we're going to do is send the knees over to one side, doesn't matter what side, lowering them down nice and slow, and you want to try and keep the opposite shoulder down, so the opposite way to which your legs are rolling, down on the floor. And then you lift those legs through the center again, squeezing the ribs to pelvis, and let's take it the other way. This is a really nice mobility exercise for the spine. Great to do first thing in the morning, at the end of the day, anytime really. Good, and again, just taking it to that point of a stretch, but not uncomfortable. Now we can deepen the stretch a little bit here by turning the head the opposite way to the knees. Again, trying to keep those shoulders down, not allowing those shoulders to lift, just keeping the movement to the back of the body. Good, we're going to take one more to each side. Enjoying that rocking sensation. Good, well done. And then we're just going to bring the knees all the way over to one side along with the rest of your body so that you can push yourself up into a sitting position. Good, well done, well done. I hope you enjoyed day 3. I'll be back tomorrow where we'll be introducing some new exercises and giving you some progression options for the exercises that we've already done. So I'll see you then.